Good morning. It is time to wake up and be wealthy. And I'm here with literally one of my favoriteest humans in the whole wide world. We've known each other for years, and I'm just excited to have you on today, Jana. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. I'm really excited.
This topic is so good, too. So, we are talking how to talk to your kids about money because
That's
that
right.
is huge and important. And I think a lot of times we don't know. Like if you're at the store and you're like, that's too expensive or we can't afford that, it can impact your child on a whole massive level. So I'm going to pass it over to you.
Sounds good.
How do we do this? Tell us.
Oh, well, I think it's like a big topic we talk about a lot because by the time we realize we should have been talking to our kids about money, that's because they've made errors or because we look at ourselves and we're like, oh crap, if I would have known, then potentially I would not have made these errors, right? Whatever they are. And most of that happens 18 to 24, and it could take a lifetime to recover from these stupid mistakes that we didn't even know what we didn't know, right? So I think the earlier we start bringing these things into our awareness, then the better our kids end up. And by starting super early, we actually do it inadvertently, right? We are talking about money all the time without intent. And our kids are picking up on these very like subliminal messages. And there's all these studies that this is like happening when they're 3 and 4 years old, that they start developing these feelings around spending too much or asking or what those reactions look like. So you can see, a kid in the store, mom can have a piece of candy and the mom's like, wow, that's a reaction that no child wants to have ever. So because children are pleasers, right? So as we go through these beginning steps, I think it's important to bring it into first our awareness that we're actually talking about money all the time, and then start to bring it intentionally into their awareness. So I have 5 kind of ways to talk to your kids about money. So the first way definitely is to start with the awareness, just factual data, no judgment, no nothing. Here's an example. You could be at the store and you'd be like, bread costs $4.99 a loaf. A pound of deli turkey costs $6.99 a pound. Gas is $7.29 a gallon. This will be funny to listen to this in 20 years, by the way. I'm
You're
all, gas in California is currently, whatever that is, just doesn't have to be expensive and it doesn't have to be cheap. It just has to be your acai bowl costs $7. That's it. And to start talking about it in a way that is non-judgmental. So it's just factual data. And then I think from there, as kids get a little older, right, then we get to start talking about values and beliefs. And it gets to start with their values and beliefs, not ours. So we could vomit ours on them. We already do, like I said, inadvertently, but we can ask them what theirs are. So here's a good example. So just say you have a kid, probably age 10-ish to probably age 14, 15, and they want something. And let's just say the item is, this just came up for me the other day. They want some sort of Beats AirPod, whatever, and they're $300. So here's the question. You have $500 that you got from graduation. These are $300, and wait for it. Now we get to have a lesson on what sales tax is. Just no, it's just factual data. Sales tax is 10%. So these are really going to be $330. Is that of value to you? Is that how you choose to allocate your money? Is that how you choose to have a relationship between that item and your money? It's an energy exchange, right? So does that bring you enough joy to have $170 left at the end of this? And then what? Is there anything else on the docket that you need or you want? This lets kids start to freely think for themselves. Is this worth it to me? Is this of value to me? So we joke around about it that, I go to Costco and I spend $500 and my kids think that that is like nothing. But if you talk about AirPods in relationship to the money that they have now, we have a conversation, right? Like, well, wait a minute. I also want da 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 da. I also want to make sure da 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 da. So you actually created a conversation about budgeting, sales tax, value, and then their personal belief system about where they feel safe and how much money that they have to spend. Where is their level of security? All from one conversation. So I think those are really powerful in not projecting ourselves on them, but letting them be okay with what their feelings are and letting them solve for that. Let them spend that money and feel the pinch of being broke or feeling broke or not having enough for the next thing. So I think that's a really valuable lesson.
I
The
love that. That's good.
I think it's good to like integrate them.
Yes.
When I was growing up, my parents didn't really talk about money in a way, like a traditional way, but I had grandparents who did. So I was really fortunate. And that was my next thing, was to start slowly giving them these intentional lessons. So when I was a kid, I would sit with my grandmother and write her checks for her. I thought that was the most amazing thing ever, just because it felt grown up. But what I was really learning was about a check register, which is like the modern day check your account, right? I was really learning about staying organized with my bills and paying them on time. I was really learning, how much does it cost for gas and electric? How much does a water bill really cost? Again, just factual data. And then also for her, what was her value system about how much money she wanted to have in her bank account? What was important to her? And I remember she saying to me, I keep $1,000 in there no matter what. And I zero my account out at $1,000. And in 1989 or, 1990, that might as well have been $20,000, $50,000. That was, my parents didn't have $1,000. That was a big number. Those life lessons of including our kids in what we're doing. I'm going to sit down and do my taxes right now. Boring, but what are taxes and how does that even get calculated? What's a W-2? What's a 1099? What do you do with a bank statement? All of these financial documents. Another thing, retirement. Kids don't even have that in their awareness, but when we include them in these everyday decisions and tasks and chores, it just brings it into their acceptance of what is coming, I think, because they've been around it. It's not something they need to avoid. There's no negative energy around it. This is just what it is. It's something that we do. I think that also about giving our kids loans and talking about interest. So if my kids ask me, Mom, I want to borrow some money, it might sound mean or kind of weird, but I'm like, great. If you want to borrow $50 from me, that's at 5% interest. When are you paying me back? And we get in a big conversation about that, which then easily leads into a conversation about credit cards. What does that even mean? If now we live in a digital world, right? We're just charging. We don't often exchange cash or tangible money. So we can't really see it leaving in the same heartfelt way of being at the grocery store and being like, all right, I got $40. This is all I've got. This is it. I don't have another methodology. A credit card is like endless. So kids have lost that connection to what things cost and what their own spending is. Between that, Venmo, Zelle, PayPal, Apple Pay, whatever it is, it's not real. It's not tangible. So when we circle them back and say like, all right, let's talk about like what this really looks like. You spend all your money, you need $50. When are you going to get it back to me? And how are you going to get it? You just got another life lesson under your belt. And the same is true. My son started a company for walking sticks. It was short-lived, but it was a lesson. And we became investors and we learned about stock. And those things now at 14, he's aware this is how it works. So I think that those things are always helpful in getting them on the right path.
Well, and it comes down to habits, and you're teaching them those healthy habits early, which is so invaluable. And then it's through osmosis of like, this is how it is, right? Like, and they don't know anything different, and that's a good thing. Like, it's the opposite of like when your parents don't talk about money, because mine was the same. We never talked about money. And then it was like, well, how do I grow up? Like, how do I live? Like, how do I adult? Like, I don't know. No one taught me.
Yes. And I think there comes a time in your life where it's almost embarrassing to ask.
Yes.
Like you show up for like algebra 2 and you're like, oh, wait, I don't know my times tables. No one's asking that, right? Like no one's going to be the one to be like, I don't know my 12s. Let's handle this. It's the same idea. And it's especially true for men that they don't want to ask anything. I mean, that old adage about directions is one thing, but like when it comes to money, that's a really hard thing to go back and say, like, but no one ever actually showed me how to properly file a tax return, or why one would need an accountant, or about building a financial team, no matter how much money you have. Those are skills that if you've never been exposed, you wouldn't even know that you didn't know until much later. And I think that as we embark on this next era, especially of women being in control of money as well as men, and it not just being, I'm the dad, I take care of the conversation and I'm the one. This is a more open forum now. Women are earners, and women are major earners, and kids are becoming earners. I mean, these TikTok revolution kids, I mean, they're making millions of dollars.
Yes.
And they've got their dad who works at a factory in wherever managing their money.
Yes.
Just because it's their dad,
Right.
it's a new day is coming for this, for sure. And I think the conversations are so imperative when we start to talk about the tactical side of money. We can't forget about the emotional side of money. And when we talk about value, we have to teach our kids to also become valuable, right? So kids are applying for jobs in the summer with me all the time. They want to intern, or they want to get a job, and they want to make $20 to $30 an hour in San Francisco Bay Area. What they don't know is that they are actually of zero asset to me, none. That it is actually a cost to me. It's a cost in time, it's a cost in effort, it's a cost in, a million ways. It taxes the rest of my staff to have interns in the office. It's a more of an act of goodwill, right? Their sense of value is really unbased. That's not even a word. I can't even think of it. It's based on nothing. It's based on absolutely nothing. They heard a number, they want to make this much money, they're willing to ask for it. Kudos on the ask, but in order to become valuable, that requires someone to talk to us about what money really is and what that exchange really means, and then also what we need to do to become that way, right? So if a kid comes to my office and they're like, whatever, I'm in high school and they don't really have any skills, that's not a valuable ad for me. But when someone comes in and says, hey, I know how to do a funnel, and I also understand about doing some social media marketing, and I'm really good at making TikToks, and I can help you learn to edit your Instagram. Thank you. Now we have someone valuable who, right? And there's value in the spend, which gives them value in the ask for what they want. And when you can show up valuable, that's a very big power position to be in, right?
Right.
Like that's big.
Well, who knows? You could hire them full time salary. You know what I mean?
Totally,
Like, yeah.
absolutely. I remember growing up, and I worked for my mom's ambulance company, and I did all of this filing, like endless, God forsaken filing. And I remember saying to myself, like, oh my God, I will never file another document, like ever. It's never going to happen. But of course, there's a million life lessons in that. So not only did I learn about filing, I also learned how to answer the phones. And while I learned how to answer the phones, I was also listening to what was going on. And then I learned how to do some billing. And then when I learned how to do some billing, I learned how to work with different insurance companies. And sure enough, I got a promotion. And then I was able to take that job to the next job, to the next job, because of those basic skills. So I was making myself valuable, understanding that it's not about the dollar amount, but it's about what the exchange is, just like the AirPods to the money, is a really important topic to be talking about while we are teaching our kids to become confident and productive members of our social system. And I think that it's overlooked a lot. So I think that, I don't know, I think that's really a beautiful place to put your kids when you start talking about it as they get older.
That is so juicy because it'll build so much confidence. I love that. So, okay, what other tips do you have? I know I want to make sure. Okay, give it to us.
Here it is. I think it's really imperative that we let our kids have an opinion about money. So when our kids come out and they're like, that is so expensive, or that's totally not worth it, or whatever the case is, I really want a Lamborghini. Often as parents, we shut that down immediately. Our kids say something, you can't always get what you want. Money doesn't grow on trees. We can't afford that. If you get conscious about your own internal rhetoric of what you're saying to your kids, what that translates into is it's not possible for you. I didn't make it possible for me, so it's not possible for you. And you are shutting down the ability to dream big. And for you, your dream might be that you want to, be in the Peace Corps, and you want to be a doctor without borders, and that would be your dream. You want to be a Franciscan monk and live in poverty. Awesome. It doesn't have to be related to money, but the conversation is. And when we are always capping what our kids can ask, or what our kids can want, or what our kids can decide that they need, we are limiting them before they even get out of the gate. And we are lessening their possibilities, especially with kids that come from lower socioeconomics, right? We know that kids that come from lower socioeconomics, or families that are of lower socioeconomics, become families of lower socioeconomics because they don't know. They don't know, they were never exposed, they were never taught, and the cycle continues. So what if when our kids are talking to us about what they want or whatever, the Lamborghini, that's amazing. I want a Lamborghini maybe too. You should figure out how you're going to earn the money to put yourself in position for the Lamborghini, right? Or I want the AirPods. Awesome. What are you going to do this summer to earn the money for that? Whatever the case is, it doesn't have to be about your financial position. That's not what they're saying. What they're really saying is, I have this ask, and I want you to validate my ask, that it's an okay thing to ask. And then I want you to give me acceptance. I want you to give me some sort of affirmation that that's fine. And then I want you to give me a path forward to get it. And so as long as we keep encouraging that, then we're encouraging big dreamers and big doers, then we're not shutting things down before it even gets started. And I think that is really imperative.
That is how I think you create generational wealth, because the dreaming is
Heck,
the most
yes.
important part.
Yes.
That's
I think you and I know each other's story well. If your mom or dad were to have ever said to you, someday, if I would have said to my parents, someday I'm going to own a company, I'm going to own 2 companies. You know what? I'm going to make 6 figures like it's nothing. And then after I'm done doing that, I'm going to buy whatever car, I'm going to do what I want. My kids are going to go to wherever. I'm not even going to be stressed out about what the groceries cost. Your parents and my parents would have been like, sorry, what? We just splurged on pizza last Friday and we got the pineapple and it was extra. That would have been a very, it's a different conversation. You can't even have that conversation because they're already shutting it down. So we get to encourage those conversations so that our kids can begin that generational wealth cycle. It's huge for them.
that dreaming, especially when you're younger, it's so natural to dream big. Like you feel like you're invincible. Like let's
Amazing.
embrace that. I love that tip. I think that's so important. And like I've even found with my daughter Emma, if she's at the store, she's still probably a little too young to grasp the concept of like, how much things cost, but I'm trying. But also like instead of saying, let's not buy that today or we've already spent, our budget, I said, let's add that to your wish list. And she's like, okay. We take a picture and like we have this wish list. But like she'll sometimes re-ask for the thing. I'm like, okay, you really do want that. Let's go ahead and buy that now. So that has been a huge tactic for us, just at age 4 of like, instead of just shutting it down, let's add it to the wish list.
Totally. I think it's a
So
good
I love
space to
that.
be for our kids. And I think that those tips like that, the wish list or whatever the case is, it's still fine to say no to kids. Can I get a machete? No. That's
Right.
nope, no, you can't. But you could add it to your adult wish list, whatever that is, it's still fine to have those exchanges where you don't have to agree with everything. But you were right. When you add things to what's possible for them, you could totally have that. It's just not this minute. We've taught our
Right.
kids about prioritizing their money. We've taught our kids even early on that it's not about the no, it's about what's really important. That's a
Yes.
huge lesson.
I love that. So we have to know, are we getting the Beats AirPods? Is it happening? Did we
He
decide?
downgraded to
Oh,
the Apple, whatever, the ones that were like $170. He downgraded to those. And we traded. He got a gift card for somewhere else. And they were cheaper at Costco. So I bought the gift card for Target. He bought, and I gave him the money, and then he bought the cheaper AirPods with the free shipping, and everyone felt good about it because I'm going to go to Target, so no problem.
right.
The world is a good place. He got the AirPods or whatever they are, and he's happy. And they have noise
I love
canceling.
that. What a master negotiator.
I mean, kind of really like that is some early skills right there.
That is awesome. I love that.
So
So,
funny.
where can people find you? What do you have going on? Tell us all the deets.
Okay, so people can find me at janamannina.com. They can find me on Instagram and Facebook under same name. Speaking of Money is our financial education arm of our company. We teach a lot of classes about kids and money. We have one coming in August that will be, you'll see the buzz on, called Financially Fit for College. And this is going to be for kids transitioning into college, like juniors, seniors transitioning to college to start getting their head wrapped around the do's and don'ts so that they can lay out a good financial future. And then I'll be around doing some of that kind of stuff. It's exciting. And podcast, Speaking of Money, is coming out in probably a week. So that'll be on too. So that'll be fun. I'll have to have
Yay!
you on for sure.
Yes, I would love that. And like, I'm just so excited for the world to know your genius. Like,
Oh, thanks.
you are so talented and you've come such a far way. Um, and we'll include your whole bio because it's so, like, your whole story is so beautiful. And you're just this
Thank you.
badass mama, like,
Thanks.
taking care of business. And, like, especially in the financial world, I love connecting with other women and linking arms because it's so dominated.
Yes.
Dominated. So it's just nice to like see another woman just kicking ass and taking names.
Feel the same about you, my friend.
I
Thank
know.
you.
I love you so much. I'm
Me
glad that you're
too.
on today. Make sure that you connect with Jana, say hi to her, and like these tips are just so powerful. So start small and implement them, and it's huge. It's really creating generational wealth, which is so powerful. So I'm excited. Before you go, my favorite question to ask my guests
I'm
is,
ready.
what does it mean to you to be wealthy?
To be free. Wealthy for me means free. To be able to make whatever decision, college, uh, AirPods, vacation, whatever that looks like, being able to pay my whole PG&E bill. That's our gas company. Being able to do what I want without distress. I like the freedom of wealth.
Yes, I love that. That's beautiful. You're amazing. I love you. I can't
Love
wait
you
for your
too.
podcast to launch. It's going to be so
Thank you.
good.
Appreciate it.